If
I was told we can edit things out.
You can
apparently.
edit, but we get just so you know.
This is a fun story.
So we told her you can edit, so she would be comfortable talking.
So I got set up.
But here's the thing, and we will edit if it's bad enough. But we'll talk shit about you behind your back.
Okay.
If you make us pull the best part out.
I did go.
Because you suddenly have that consciousness that I said something bad.
I did go to less than 4 Star Island Diddy parties.
Oh.
But from 9 to 12, never after midnight.
That's what they all say. That's what they all say.
Never after midnight.
Just so you know, this has the
midnight.
potential to be a 4.5 hour.
I went to Diddy's house. No, this is a true story. And knocked on the door. This was the year, and who answers the door? Bjork. It's the year she wore the swan outfit to the MTV Awards.
Was she still in it or no?
She was still in the swan. And she answered the door and she goes, and she did that the whole night.
So she.
Are you serious?
I swear she did swan noises the whole night.
In my
Shout out
house,
to Bjork. Bjork is dope.
In my house, this is Bjork. Like if me and my wife's like, thank you very much. That's
very
Bjork.
good.
That's my like. I think that's a good impression of Bjork. By the way,
I think my swan voice is a little better, but yours was dope, no doubt.
I'm not gonna deny it.
Oh my goodness.
So here we are.
Yes.
David Noble Show.
David Noble Show.
One of my newest favorite people.
Noble David Show.
One of my medium favorite people.
I go for medium cool.
Yeah.
That's my
You're like
my zone.
medium time frame. This is
sure.
time frame.
For sure.
We've only met since March.
Yes.
And I'm like,
I feel like I've known you forever though.
that's me.
I feel like we talk all the
I feel
time.
the same way about Marcus. Marcus Glover.
We just fell in the hole.
Marcus
It
Glover.
never came out.
You have such a rich name.
Isn't it?
Your mom knew what she was doing.
You know, so the funny thing is there was this movie called Boomerang. Eddie Murphy starred in it.
Yes.
And his character's name was Marcus Graham. And he was an ad guy. So of course I spent the first half of my career in advertising because Marcus Graham and Marcus Glover.
Oh wow.
And if you remember, Eartha Kitt played this character named Lady Eloise. And she goes, Marcus, darling, I'm not wearing any panties. So anyhow.
And that's how it all happened.
That's all. It just, my life went
And I can
uphill and
guarantee
downhill from
nobody remembers Boomerang.
sad. The kids.
That's a classic though.
Yeah, it is.
Eddie Murphy's not respected as a comedian enough.
He needs to go out and like get those.
Do you think he could do stand-up today?
I think it would be a dope
That'd be
ass
interesting what his
Netflix
subject
one
would be.
night with Eddie Murphy. He's got to still have some funnies in him, right? Like
He's very funny.
he's got to have some chucks.
His
in him.
stand-up changed the game like way
For
back
sure,
when.
for sure. Erika, what's up? You're in Miami.
Yes.
Are we
Hello.
allowed to say we're here in Miami?
We're in
not?
Miami.
Okay.
We're at the
Skyami,
we're-
as the young
we're at
kids
the
like
Ro-
to call
We're at the
it.
Royal Palms, South Beach.
The Royal Palms. Yes.
Picked because of its photo of the suite, not because of its suite.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yes.
Not a roast. Just it got it done.
It got it done.
It got it done, but
Yes.
not how I envisioned it.
The suite is not so sweet.
It's pretty good, but not how I envisioned
Well,
it.
Medium
apparently
sweet.
the shower is amazing.
The shower apparently is amazing. We can fit 24 people in the shower.
And that's what's taking
And that's
up
if you
most of
don't
the
stack
space.
them up.
And
That's just
sometimes you need a 24-seater shower.
At the Diddy parties,
At
yeah.
the Diddy
Yeah,
party.
Diddy party.
parties.
This is not a Diddy party. This
You
is
know
like
what,
we come
though?
in.
The David party.
This is a timeless hotel, right? So maybe that was the thought process in spending more money on the bathroom area because it's like, hey, we have a lot of like
It had to be the walls.
feng shui type of parties coming through here and people need bigger bathrooms.
It was the Deco era in Miami.
You know?
That was
just went big
Miami
on
back
that.
then.
Yes.
Miami.
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 Yes.
So, all right. So here we are. We're gonna have a little show. Erika's stepping in. She's gonna test her chops first
Yeah, get
time.
my
So then
skills
she'll be able to put it on her
going.
resume, co-host.
Love it. Love it.
We really want to thank you for taking the time. But like, what's going on in your life, man? What's happening?
David and Erika, there are no two finer than you both. It's
Well,
a
thank you,
pleasure to
darling.
see David.
He's a
it's an
chronic
honor to
liar.
meet Erika. I've heard so many great
I
things
like
about
you
you.
already, Marcus.
I just am loving the moment, like, sort of not too held and dragging around the past, not too terribly consumed with the future, just here in the here and now.
Here in the present.
And bringing a ton of just enthusiasm, a ton of flexibility. I feel like life, I can go in any direction. I'm really inspired by a lot of the transformations, the nature of change that's happening in the world. I think it's an exciting time to be alive and scary at the same time. But it's a good show, called Life. So I'm super dialed in. We got a big election. We've got a lot happening.
Who are you
in
voting
tech.
for?
I'm voting for me and Erika and David.
Ooh, to win.
That's
Yeah,
like
I
hey, when did you become a punter?
Yeah.
He's like, I'm trying out for the Dolphins.
Here's what I think I'm voting for. I'm voting for not sitting on the couch. I still am a perpetual get off your ass kind of person.
Make some things shake.
Yeah, I'm here in the state of Florida full time. And, people are like, aren't you scared of the politics there? And I just think to myself, I've always been a member of the resistance. So it's fun to be here and sort of swim against the current, the political ideologies and just be a little different. So if that's any indication, or if you need any more indication,
I still haven't figured out at all who you're voting
well,
for.
I will spill the tea here. I am a graduate of Howard University, the Bison. And,
I went to Howard.
and my fellow alum is my alum Kamala Harris. So I got to go with the Howard Bison.
You got to keep it. You got to keep it.
I got to
That's
keep
fair.
it the
Family?
HU. No diss to the Yukon Huskies. I got love.
Yeah,
for
we
them
love
too.
UConn.
No doubt.
And I'm a
She don't like
soror of Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority Incorporated, and so is our lovely Kamala Harris. So
So you guys are
with
going.
yeah. I'm
Aren't
going.
you worried at all if she wins on like the backlash of she couldn't win the
Terribly
primary?
worried. Terribly.
Like, it's gonna be ugly.
I mean, okay, so
Yeah.
2007, I was working with a really wonderful entertainer, will.i.am.
Ooh.
And for those that don't
It's an
remember,
icon.
YouTube it. There was a video that he made that was in the run up to the election. Well, anybody remember that? I can't remember the name of the video, but it was this Obama clipped together and a song by will.i.am, Yes We Can, which is the Obama theme. And I think it was like one of the mega YouTube videos of its time. Hugely successful. It probably helped to pull a little more in Obama's favor. And I remember sitting with Will and Quincy Jones, and we were like, this motherfucker better actually work, because like there's a lot of at risk. This is the first
Right
black
on this.
president. Like if this shit goes bad, like if he's like, sitting eating a plate of ribs and not on his job, we're fucked, And so I say that respectfully, that
Is that why they went with a multiracial candidate the first time? You think? Like
I think he was, look, it was
I guess Jesse Jackson was a candidate.
Because Jesse Jackson was a
legitimate candidate.
a legit candidate for
1988,
the Democratic,
for sure.
for the Democratic
When I was
ticket.
born.
But I think, look,
It's not fair.
I always think that the pendulum and the direction it swings, the reality and the counter reality, right? And what are the chances that one time we're coming up on I'm going to count here, 2001, so the 23rd anniversary of the September 11th attack, right?
Mm-hmm.
And who was America's greatest adversary? Saddam Hussein. And then you're going to tell me that our very next president is named Barack
Obama.
Hussein Obama.
Obama. All right.
It is only because of however the direction of the pendulum, wherever it swings, you have to know that momentum is going to carry it back in the other direction. And I think that may be part of the dynamic shift that we are perhaps going to experience with our first female president.
That was well said.
I don't know if she's gonna win,
I don't either.
but at least the Democrats are trying now.
They got a
That's it.
fighting
I'm not
chance.
in any party. Just
Yeah.
full disclosure to the two of you. like I was a Republican and I got kicked out in 2015
Yeah.
for like not hating enough.
Yeah.
And so I supported a lot of Democrats in 2018, and I realized quickly I'm not one of them.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
I talked to him, and I'm like, I don't understand what you're even talking about.
Yeah.
And then this past, like, if you gave me Trump versus Biden, I'm going Trump every time.
Yeah.
Even after everything.
For sure.
Because I
Gotcha.
was like, I can't deal with old people anymore.
Yeah, I can't deal with him just falling every 2 seconds.
You know, the
Can't even
crazy
walk
thing
straight.
is that
That bothers me.
he's actually, a couple of data points. One, he's actually done an incredible job. I think he will be remembered in history for having
Who is this, Biden or
Biden.
Trump? Okay.
Forgive me, President Biden. My dad is 90. When I compare Joe Biden to my dad, love you, Dad, like hardcore. My most amazing old man in history is my dad. Joe Biden's got my old man beat. Like, Joe Biden puts that work in, and he's fit for a 89-year-old guy. I still don't want him to be president,
Yeah.
but he is, I think, a remarkable octogenarian. Like, you know,
I think Trump's going to fall into that category when you start evaluating. And I know
think so, too.
I've seen it side by each, and I'm like, that's from Buffalo, side by each. I've been showing my knowledge
That
of
was dope.
Buffalo,
Yes.
right? Like,
Wow.
she's from
He's
Buffalo.
a
So I'm like, I've been
hard
dropping it.
Buffalonian at this
Wow.
point. Like,
That's
he knows all the
impressive.
trade secrets, the hidden gems, where to eat.
My
Like,
gosh.
he's stamped.
You put them side by each, and Trump was winning.
yeah,
it was,
yeah,
it
for
was
sure.
clear. It was
There's
over.
no question. Yeah.
And like some of our mutual friends, we'd have conversation. I'm like, dude, you have to do. Like, I'm just telling you, you have to do something. You're gonna lose. And we started asking people on thing like Trump or Biden, and like they'd be like, oh, and I'm like, yeah, you're and like.
Did
so
we get
then
a single answer? I don't believe we did.
I don't think we got a single answer, but we'd go, if you don't answer, you're voting for Trump.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And people still be like,
They'd be like, no, but that's not in the. It was very good.
And, like,
It's
this got
tough.
really weird, right?
Yeah.
Like, it got weird.
It's tough.
And then like, so then they like shoot or fake shoot Trump,
Yeah. Yeah. Right. Right.
and then they get Biden out the next week.
Right.
And by the way, in
It's
the
all a
middle,
movie.
in
It
the
is
middle,
movie, for sure.
there's like one of the biggest like computer hack
Oh, my
collapses
gosh.
of all time, and they're like, oh yeah, it's not. No one's attacking us. This
Yeah.
has just happened, right?
Yeah.
Southwest survives with their 1990, and you sit there and you look and you're like, we're not stupid.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I think that's all right. You know, if I'm honest, I don't know that either a President Trump or a President Harris will govern radically different.
No.
I think that the chicanery, the tomfoolery of government is probably more on display
Yeah.
with a President Trump. But I think the world kind of still looks the same with either candidate.
I agree.
Who gets the money changes differently, but somebody's getting a lot of money by who wins.
Well, if personally speaking, I hope people don't feel the worst about me for saying this. I made money in the Trump administration and I made money in the Biden administration. I'm just keeping it real. Like,
You made money.
mhm.
The wealth of government largesse goes to different funnels, right? And so like that's how I see it. I don't see it like people, like I know people on the Trump side, I know people on the Biden side, like really hardcore. Like I don't have a problem with any of them. Like we're not fighting.
No, we're not fighting.
Yeah.
You know, down here in Florida, one of the, you might say, progressive issues in the Florida State Senate has been around banning cell phones in high school, right? You know, most people think that the cell phone is the new tobacco, right? It's just creating so much damage for young people. And they managed to pass something in the Senate. Well, guess who else is really, really on fire about banning cell phones in high schools? Kathy Hochul, governor of New York. And so my point is like, here's an illustration of something that is a national crisis, you know, social media, its consumption, young people, big tech, how you rein it in. It is something that both wings, of each party can unite on. But I think it doesn't sell newspapers to find, things that we can unite on. You need these wedge issues for people to scream at each other, to drum up engagement and clicks. And I just wonder, when are we going to get smarter sometimes about seeing that we got a lot more in common? Look, I'm here in Florida. It sounds insane to say this, but I have Trump supporters that are like closest family. And we can just agree that we want to go on vacation to Bali together and not talk politics.
Yeah.
Right? But we both love Bali. Shout out to Bali.
I think politics are always just going to be a touchy situation. And I think the times that we're living in right now, so much is like complete opposite of what we're used to, and where we're going is like this huge unknown as well. So I don't necessarily think, kind of like what you're saying, I think we're just going to see more people not necessarily identify with just Democrat, Republican, but more like, okay, I like this, I don't like that. I like this, I don't like that. Or this helps me, this doesn't help me. So kind of doing like a pros and cons to see like what is more on brand for what's beneficial to you.
Influence. We're talking about influence.
On influence, I have been quietly saying this. This will be a public acknowledgement. It's something that I feel pretty deeply about. To the extent that there is a Kamala Harris presidency, her way to win is Erika.
Right.
Look at that smile. She's like...
Well, that was Joe Biden's way to win too, right?
Yeah.
It was Joe Biden's. It was a little more remote. But what I mean by that is not only Erika's charm, youth, good looks, and tenaciousness, but I think that Black women are the key. I think that...
How much money they raise like that?
Like that. And by the way, like first movers, like literally the next day after it was announced.
Yep.
Quick to organize. But I think that in every community, there are outstanding Black women that communities on any side of the issue, they can point to an Erika and say, you know what, I'm not so big a fan of Kamala, but Erika's so dope. Like, I'm gonna just vote with Erika. Like, that's my girl. I really think that it's really Black women in communities around America that make Kamala a little more accessible to people.
I agree.
That's my hot take.
And I also think it just has to do with, too, how we've gotten away from so much of just basic women's rights that have been, like, just taking away. And I think that's a key sweet spot for her to win people over, where it's like, okay, I may not necessarily be Democrat, may not necessarily agree with this, but, you know, the fact that she's a woman and she's going to care about me and my success, whether it's career or my personal life, and putting in programming that's going to just, you know, unleash me more to the masses, I'm going to vote for her because of what she's going to do for women and empowering women like me to have a voice, to be seen, to be heard, and now be able to be in certain rooms and also just have my basic rights, just something so much as like abortion, you know? Like,
I remember when President Barack Obama first term, just into 2008, and I was in Basel, Switzerland, and there's a couple hours ahead. So I go to breakfast the next morning. It's still sort of like the nighttime in the U.S., and it's just announced that President Obama who won. I believe he beat, was it Romney or McCain? McCain.
Which, like, that
that sounds so
that was helpful.
Well,
Yes.
so long ago too.
And so I'm at breakfast, and I remember I'm in Basel, Switzerland, and the waiter comes over to me and looks at me and goes, "Are you American?" And I was like, "Yeah." And he goes, "Barack Obama won." And I said, "Yeah." And he goes, "Do you know him?" And I looked at him.
That's hilarious.
No, it gets better. So I look back at him, I go, "Yeah, I know him." And he looked at me like, holy shit, I never met Barack Obama a day in my life. But I didn't care because I realized, I was like, this is my time. Like, we got a Black man as president.
Taking all you can get now.
Gonna go, I got a window here, folks. Like,
Ride this wave.
I mean, I can remember sitting in Alabama
That's
going,
okay.
when he was running and being like, there's no chance.
Yeah.
And I say that about Kamala too. I'm like, I have to see it to believe it.
Yeah.
And like, I just don't believe in people.
That's
You know what
fair.
I mean?
That's fair.
I'm like,
That's fair.
And so I'm like, I'll believe it when I see it. I think there's an interesting piece here, and I think we pulled it out is like regardless of who we are and what we're doing, like we're not actually fighting, and Americans could fight over this.
Yeah.
But we're really not.
Right.
If we would pull some there, but there's influence going on, right? Like both of you are living in the marketing world, and have been through this, and you see the power of it, and you see how to pull some of these levers, and we're getting better and better as time goes. And like you just look at this, and it's another example of lever pull. Like that's how I feel. Is like someone's pulling levers, and they want us to feel this anger, and I'm like, like I just don't want any more 75-year-old to 90-year-old presidents. Not because there's any problem with them being old. This is like, I see my parents, to your point, and I'm like, I don't want them president.
No.
Like, I love them. Like,
you don't want that.
But are we ready for a female president? Like, I feel like,
Well, here's the thing.
I feel like guys don't even like to take direction from most women, let
and
female.
I will have to gently call out my brother of kin, black men. I think we've got to get our game up with a President Harris and a President Harris candidacy. No disrespect to RFK, but that was a little, sort of smoke and mirrors. And so many, took that bait, took the Trump bait, and not, sort of getting more into a core moment of electing the first woman, the first black woman president. But I'm crucially concerned because I just think that universally we're playing such like small potatoes in this country, and we got to get smart real fast.
There's really big, really
There's
big,
like really huge shit going on in the world that should be more dinner table conversations.
Absolutely.
Like what is happening in China, flooding the market with like cheap merchandise, and what could become a real trade war. Automation and AI, some of the global conflicts. Like,
Are you buying on the TikTok shop yet? Have you started buying on the TikTok shop?
I have.
Have you?
I have not.
And I've had amazing customer service too.
Wow.
I mean, and it's instant.
It's crazy. It works.
Like it really does work.
Talk to me about that.
I mean, it's like 2 clicks of a click.
Yeah.
Are they?
You see
are
it
they
enough
take out
times and you press
Shopify,
it.
or is it?
No, there's no. I think so. David Noble says the competition is YouTube plus Amazon
Wow.
Yeah.
versus TikTok
Holy
and
shit.
Chinese manufacturers.
Wow.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because you're buying right from like Lululemon. You're buying from their factory, and their partners are selling it out the back door, shipping it to you at 1/5 of the cost. Sometimes with the label on it.
Got
I
it.
mean, it's cut the same, like, and
Quality.
it's cheap, and it's quality.
Cheap,
It's
yep.
cheap, and it just shows you like the $120 pants could be sold for $20.
There's no question.
Absolutely.
Right? Like,
Yeah.
so we're paying prices for Lululemon. We're paying prices for the all these brands, and like you can. I mean, they're just pulling the levers,
Yeah.
and so when I see how it works, and now I'm pressing a button, and all of a sudden shit's showing up at my house. I'm like, well, aren't they just doing that to us politically? Aren't they just doing this sports?
Right.
Aren't they doing this? Like, do I hate Syracuse?
No.
Nah, a little bit. But I'd really hate Boston College.
Fair.
Right? Like Boston College, like
Right.
that's a hatred. If you're a UConn person, you should hate them.
Okay.
But if you like I don't care about Ohio State
Right.
if I'm a UConn person.
Got it.
Right? But like you put them in the Big Ten and they'll start pulling those levers, right?
Right.
So it's like the marketeers are pushing that interest.
Right.
And they can push you to buy like click.
Yeah.
Click. That's it. And it shows up a couple days later.
Do we perceive that as, customer value? Is that increasing the experience for the end customer, or
Selling more shit, that's for
Selling more
sure.
shit.
I mean, I don't know.
I'm in favor for selling more
I don't
shit.
know. I feel like
yeah.
I don't know if you guys are familiar with what is it, Timu or
Timu,
Timu.
yeah.
Timu? Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Their advertising and customer grab is so aggressive.
It's very aggressive.
Oh
yeah.
my goodness. Like I have so much
you ever
just
ordered
in my
anything
email.
from them?
No, well that's the thing. I was trying to figure out like, is this like a scam or
So
something or what?
Super Bowl comes out, and how many times they hit us during the Super Bowl? Like
A
bam,
lot.
bam, bam.
But they even give you like money to spend on their platform. Hey, you got $120, pick something for free. And I'm like, whoa, this is overwhelming. And then I'm going through the list, and so much. I end up getting off because I was like, I don't even know what to pick. And is this even legal?
So I hit the app, and I'm like, they do it, and I'm like,
Oh, you did?
Oh yeah,
This
willingly.
is
try.
fast fashion.
And oh my
might be
god,
the
you
new
get
cigarette.
such shit.
Yeah,
like
like-
it's falling apart.
I bought
have
these-
exactly one thing.
I'm embarrassed. I bought these, the Alexander McQueen, the white
Oh my gosh, sneakers.
sneaker. Like
Yeah.
I bought I'm super embarrassed about this. I bought a knockoff of it from Temu. I'm not even joking. I must have wore that shoe like 3.76 hours. I shit you not.
So
I'm in
comfortable.
Nassau. I'm walking around like Moses, barefoot, because the fucking thing, the sole literally came off from the shoe. Like
See?
in 3.5 hours.
So Temu's junk. What I'm seeing on the TikTok shop is not
Yeah, no,
junk.
Okay,
TikTok
okay.
is not
It
that
started
at all.
really, really bad for the first
Not that at
6 to
all.
9 months, and then now it's up, and they're pushing, and it's going to be definitely very
Yeah, no,
interesting.
TikTok's not that at all. I
Their
bought a few
competition
things.
is not Instagram.
Got it.
Meta's just doing their it's YouTube. If they can build Amazon behind YouTube Shorts, now you got a real competitor for this. And if you're a creator, I think you should be if you're not on YouTube
Yeah.
Shorts, you're just missing a chance.
So let's jump into creatorship. Your conversation with me around creatorship was sort of got my learning curve, got me really excited about looking at this world. What do we think the next iteration of things looks like?
I think it's big. I mean, I think the entrepreneur. So when we think about the democratization of media and what that's been like over the last 10 to 15 years, now play it out in the democratization of entrepreneurship. Because again, you were talking about the power of Erika as well. I'm talking about the power of thousands of women, thousands of economically disconnected folks, Black students growing up in East Hartford. Suddenly, they're on a fair, like in Instagram, in TikTok, in social media, as a tool. They're on a fair playing ground.
Right.
It's the first time. And having a fair starting point and a place where, okay, you don't like me. Well, if you get in my comments and hate me, that's good for me. I never understand why people would be sensitive about that shit, because it's like the best. I'm like texting my friends. I'm like, go to my comments and talk shit to me. Please, help me here.
Yeah.
Because we had a post a couple of days ago, and it was like people were, as soon as they start talking, you can watch your views with comments, your views go up. Likes, not so much. Reposts, sometimes that gets you somewhere, but comments just
But
drive
they've
it.
changed the algorithm too.
they
They're
do it all
always
the time.
doing it.
They're always
where
What is
it's
this
now
on?
more visual.
That's been
it's
pretty
posting-
consistent, though. I would say the
What
comment stuff,
pictures,
because
yeah.
you have to take time to go in. You have to formulate some people take more time to formulate their thoughts than others, but you have to go in there and actually type out a thought to some degree. So I think
what
that's a
platform?
good
No
mix.
matter how stupid the thought,
That's
the
engagement.
thought
Any platform.
is stupid.
That's just engagement.
90% of the time,
but that's the one. And I'm like, go in there and fight with people. Go in and tell them they're idiots. Whatever you do,
Yeah.
because that'll drive it. But in reality, it's people can find you.
Yeah.
The algorithms have gotten good enough where you can, whoever you are, you have the ability to get there.
Yeah.
And if you're a 15-year-old girl, and I'll hear, oh, that girl's hot, so that's why she's famous. I'm like, dude, there's a million people that aren't famous that are posting scandalous pictures of themselves. There's a million people. There's a 1% of OnlyFans. There's a 1% of TikTok. There's a 1%, and they're good at it and they work hard.
Yeah.
I was
Whatever
gonna
it
say,
is.
I thought this was cool. So when I first moved to Miami, because obviously Miami is heavy on Instagram influencers,
Right.
models,
Yeah.
beautiful girls, you know,
Instagram models.
getting
That's what
content
they're
of
big on.
outside and the nice restaurants that they're out, or their outfit of the day. And when I first came here, I met a group of women through some of my players, and they had like a legit like group chat where they would drop in the group chat, hey, I'm posting this at this time. Everybody go and like, everybody comment at least 3 words, because that's what the algorithm is going to pick up on.
Yeah.
And it just started like building out like larger communities where it was almost like pre-planned engagement.
I heard it.
And it shot your stuff up instantly, where now they're getting the looks, they're getting, you know, the amount of comments, they're getting the amount of clicks. And I'm like, wow, this is genius.
They said that the first iteration is you attract followers and that'll change the algorithm. And now it's, if you attract the algorithm, it'll attract the followers.
Exactly.
Right?
The followers are less important than the content and the audience and the audience enthusiasm for you. And that's why I say the comments are good. Because like hate or not hate, like hate or love is good. Meh is like the death of the death.
And sometimes I just live for the comments. I'll go to some stuff and I'll just forget the content. I'm just looking at the comments. I'm cracking up. Like, people are hilarious. Like, where did they even come up with this stuff? Like, the comments are so entertaining in itself.
Yeah.
But that's been true of content forever.
Yeah.
The second best
The commentary.
person is the hate.
Yeah.
Hater.
For sure. But
I troll
but
sometimes,
it's
too.
instantly available. You troll?
Yeah, I troll
I love
sometimes.
trolling. So you want to know? You might, if you're good, you send me some of your trolling, and if you're good, I'll invite you to my next door trolling community for
that's
Greenwich,
dope.
Oh, yeah, bring
Connecticut.
me in.
Oh, sweet.
We're going to drop like, we want to blow up the whole community.
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
we're gonna build a little troll farm, trolling Greenwich house moms. You might be if you're good and you like it.
So like
I'm inviting you.
quality, top tier, David.
No, like next door is like the worst. So like I have friends that go, I'm like, I've never been on it, but like I see their stuff, like they're sending me, and I'm like, this is where you need to troll. This is like the lowest form of social communication. Yeah. So to the point, democratizing entrepreneurship. Athletes are entrepreneurs. Entertainers are entrepreneurs. Rihanna, to me, is bigger than Beyonce.
For sure.
Mm-hmm.
Rihanna, to me, is the biggest.
Yeah.
Because Russ and I were having this conversation the other day.
This is a good topic.
How do you judge the biggest on something? How do you judge the winner? And we were looking at a show, and he's like, well, you can't have a show if it's a competition where there's 4 ways to judge who won. And I think at the end of the day now, the business of you is the win.
Yeah.
Right? Like, that's great. Britney Spears, your music was awesome back in the day.
Right.
Where's your business? What's she worth?
Yeah.
Right? And now what I see, and I'm starting to see it with athletes, and the more interaction I have, the game continues after you hang up. Right? Like the game continues. Now
How
the
you
game moves.
transcend in that
How do you move to
I'm
media?
curious.
How do you move to business? How do you
Erika,
move to
what
this?
do you,
Second career.
What are the ingredients that you are talking to play? So my experience with players was in the 2000s.
Okay.
And I was a creative director at the NBA, the NFL, and the footwear giants. And athletes, artists, they didn't have these tools. So they still wanted, the big consumer packaged good giants, those endorsement deals. Whereas now you have way more of an array of weapons that, these creators can really put themselves in the driver's seat. So I'm curious, like from a management standpoint, what are those essentials? What are you telling them that they have to come to the table with?
Well, first, personality, because you have to be in the content space. If you're not in the content space right now, you're losing. Pretty much to what he was saying. Like, I think before in my era when I came up in the business, it was like, even as athletes, it was like the least people know about you, the better. Like,
Because they can't hate you.
yeah, they can't hate you. They can't poke fun at your personal life or whatever you're doing behind closed doors. It's like whoever you are as an athlete, that's all you want people to know and see about you. Where now it's complete opposite. It's like you have to show more of who you are. People want to know that you're relatable. People want to know, hey, what do you eat for lunch? Or what do you do outside of the sport itself? Because I'm more so buying into the person now than like the person as a player. And so I think it's important for guys to start just being more organic in who they are, sharing their story, you know, having those difficult conversations that may, in a sense, make them more humane, if that's the right word. You know, because we put them on this pedestal where it's like, oh, they live this life, they don't deal with this or that. And it's like, no, a lot of them are real people just like us. They go through the same challenges and struggles behind closed doors. But I think being open in what you're dealing with, like I think we've seen this shift with the mental health a little bit. It's like once one person identified with mental health, now you see more and more athletes coming out and saying, you know, hey, like I struggled with this, or I didn't know, you know, how I was going to navigate in the league because I couldn't manage the fame, or, you know, I got hooked on painkillers to heal my ACL and then I just couldn't get off of it after that. Like, you know, just having these open conversations that I feel like used to be very taboo is now serving as content and making people gravitate to who you are. So I think just the more guys just start owning who they are and sharing the challenges, sharing the good stuff with the bad stuff, opening up to say, hey, you know, I use these products because I'm vegan and, you know, I'm more about what I put in my body or organic stuff. And I think you're now tapping into a different audience that, hey, I may not watch basketball or football, but guess what? I'm vegan and I like what you're sharing on your platform about how to eat clean.
So it's almost like you want to show more of your values. And attract people to your values. Wow.
Attract people to your values, your interests, and just your story that you don't see.
Yeah, right.
Still the all-time a couple of the all-time greats. You got Practice.
Yes.
Not
Allen
one dime
Iverson,
back.
Bubba Chuck.
Not one dime back. Jim Calhoun.
Yeah.
Right. You know, you think of those moments, but you didn't see. To your point, you did not see much of the person.
Yeah.
Michael smiled.
Yeah. Yeah.
Why did Michael get away with it and Tiger not? Yeah. Michael smiled. That's my personal belief.
For sure.
That's why I keep telling Atu fucking smile.
Yeah.
People that smile get away with it.
Smile.
Right. Like that's to me, that's the difference between Michael and Tiger at the end of the day.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So but you think about it. Yeah. And you didn't have Simone Biles. Like that one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was the end of your career. Yeah. You said like I'm not well. That was it.
Right.
You were over.
Right. Yeah. That's such a pivotal moment in culture and sports. And yeah, it's, you know, there was a moment, I'm an ad guy. And if you look at advertising 20, 30 years ago, the Jordan era, it was, you'd see an advertisement come on TV and it's a Nike commercial. And a baseball player, their bat would, hit the ball so hard, the ball would split, or it would become engulfed in flames and it would travel a mile. And if you were dunking the ball, you would, jump over Niagara Falls to dunk the ball. And it was these big illustrations of the, extraordinary, right? That you could outperform in sports. But then the next iteration of that was seeing, a Reggie Bush or a Peyton Manning at the supermarket. And he'd be in his Colts jersey, food shopping alongside ordinary people. Because people didn't want to see this. They wanted to know that athletes were just like them, right?
People laughed at that dork.
Yeah, they loved it.
Right?
They
laughed
you see
at
this
it,
guy who's dorky,
laughed at it, all the way to the Brinks truck backing up into his bank, right? They just laughed. Look at this dork. Look at this dork. I don't want to look like that dork. How many guys in the NFL refuse to do what Peyton Manning did?
Right.
Hundreds.
He has a new commercial out right now that aired yesterday. I don't know if you guys watched the Chiefs and Baltimore game, but there was a commercial that he has right now. I think it was Aflac or something that he's with. But,
that was what, yeah.
But it's a painting Manning. And he's like painting and the lady comes over and she's like, there's a wordplay off of his name. And she's like, pay? And he's like, no, painting. He's like, pay it? No, painting Manning. Like, it was just so cute. I was like, oh, this is so creative.
Yeah,
but I like how
they
like, tied that in with the whole like painting scene to tie in like.
Can you imagine Dan Marino doing that? No.
Yeah.
Probably not, right?
And
No
his
chance.
humor, because he's so dry, but it's like funny
And
too.
he knows his humor.
Because he knows his humor. Yeah.
And like he was mocked for selling out and all these things.
Yes.
But now I think
works.
it's more the model.
Yes.
Yep,
yes.
it works.
But it is
Own who
the
you are.
humanization that attracts people to you now. Whereas like they don't want to see you as, the word Nike was the Greek goddess of victory. It's the statue in the
This unreachable
in the-
thing.
yes.
That's like a superhuman being.
Right.
Like now it's like, no.
we want
How
you to
much
be
do you
just
relate
like
to me?
us.
Yes.
Right. Yeah.
But we want to watch you do things we could never ever do.
Facts. Right.
And that's
At
the
the same
superpower
time.
of it though.
Right.
That's like
But then also, like, give me the TikTok tutorial so you can show me how I can do
how
it
to
for
do it. The
myself.
master
Like,
classes.
yeah, like I want to see Steph Curry's his shooting regimen, and even if I can't do it, I want to try.
Right.
Right.
Or even what they're doing now with Anthony Edwards. Just like the tick and twist on modern day ads, because he's kind of using the Jordan model, like how you were saying, like, hey, if you wearing my sneakers, you can be the best at whatever. But it's also adding that very current events to where we're at as well, like in tapping into like the generation to understand that it's making it relatable. Like, hey, I think one of the commercials, it was super cute because it was showing like hate mail. So it was like, he's talking about how his sneakers are the best and he's like the number one player and no one can touch him and this and that. And then you just have all these other like athletes or fans just like bashing Anthony Edwards.
Yeah.
And so it's all these like hate receipts that he's basically, and then at the end, he takes note, like almost like, like these receipts don't, like
Right.
I'm keeping a mental note of all those receipts because next season I'm coming for everybody. Like that had something to say. And I think that makes it relatable. It's like,
love
hey, people can hate on you, they can talk shit about you in social media or care about, but at the end of the day, like you are who you are, you stand on who you are, and who cares if no one else believes that you're capable of doing these things? As long as you believe it, that's all that matters.
The one who the being that never existed in my experience and my youth, I'm old as fuck now, streamers. Like I'm endlessly fascinated about streamers like Kai Cenat. Like
So
that didn't exist when I was growing up.
That's such a cool. That's such a cool black job.
That was a very black job,
Very
right?
black job.
You talk to professional creators, and the first thing they'll tell you is do not stream.
Do not stream.
Yeah.
Why?
Do not live. You fuck up like this.
You fuck up. Yeah,
You're done.
Yeah.
And they'll say do not stream. Do not stream. You gotta.
What's your fascination with it?
Because it just didn't exist as a job. There was never a streamer at any point in history, which is essentially somebody who, what I'll call it is a point of view brand, right? They're not playing the game. They're just pointing out about the game, right? They are not the gamer. They just have something to say about the gamer, right?
Yeah.
So a streamer to me is like, that's a new innovation, right? That didn't exist before.
And I'm not gonna lie, the fuck up part I think is what actually makes them go viral. Because I feel like the more crazy off the wall things they say or do, the more people gravitate to it. And now it's just like blowing up their platform.
Who decides it's a fuck up?
Yeah.
That's a good point.
Good point.
Because I'm trying to get fired.
You want to be a streamer.
I'm trying to get fired. You know what I mean? Like, that's the goal of the podcast is like, fire me.
Yeah.
So
You know what I mean?
You're
I'm trying to
streaming
get
right
the
now.
line, but I want to keep my lawsuit for when they do.
Yeah.
Right?
Facts.
Who
But
decides?
you do have the freedom to say, to your point, like whatever. Because I think I'd seen one of the episodes with was it Kai or Kay? How do you say his name?
Kai, I think,
Kai.
yeah.
And he was like talking about Kanye West. And he was really saying positive things about Kanye, but Kanye
is Kanye.
Yeah, Kanye is Kanye. And it's like, hey, you're speaking on me. And
I think it was literally something to the effect of it was the wrong size clothing
for his
or something.
clothing.
And he said, oh, this is the wrong size. And Kanye was like, fuck you.
Yeah, I don't care. Like that's exactly what it was. And it was funny because to your point, it's like he's this streamer and he's getting the attention of a Kanye, like caring how he feels about his clothes being too big for him.
Is that because Kanye's sensitive though? Like does Anthony Edwards
But
hear
as a
the
streamer
streamers?
though, you're having Kanye comment on what you're streaming.
So I can tell you from high level basketball locker rooms, they hear the comments, right? You know that. You know that. They hear it.
Yeah.
The best shut it out. The best put a chip on their shoulder and it motivates them.
Yeah.
Not everybody's the best, right? And like that's part. Isn't it part of the game now?
100%. Yeah. You
Like
gotta
overcome that. You gotta
Put
play
that
it in
S on
the
your
public
chest
scene.
and keep it pushing.
Yeah. Keep it
Really,
pushing.
Yeah. You got to.
Yeah.
It's not for the weak at heart.
So what's the difference between music and sports? Like you've played such a big role in both, and we're both Canes, so we both went to Miami.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Yes.
You were in graduate school?
No,
Undergrad.
Yeah.
And then you went to Howard.
Then I went to Howard.
All right.
I spent my first 2 years I was a jazz performance major. Supposed to be
Really?
a jazz musician.
You give jazz vibes.
I give jazz vibes. I take that as a compliment.
Your energy and your aura. You give
That's
jazz
a huge
vibes.
compliment.
See, we got.
I
I'm a
can
relic
totally
from
see
the past.
that.
I am definitely
the
a
pants,
dinosaur.
the glasses,
That was the
your
that-
necklace. Yeah, you give
That was
jazz
the bingo
vibes.
card. We got vibes, we got energy, we got aura,
Yeah.
bingo. Like
Yes.
that doesn't show up on the David Noble show very often.
Well spoken.
The thing is, I think so. I happen to work a bit adjacently to music, and I happen to work a little bit adjacently to sports. I think of the two.
You're a mover in both. Bullshit.
Bullshit.
You're a mover in both.
I just post up at the beach now is really all I do.
Bullshit,
but
bullshit.
I think musicians are so much more difficult than athletes.
Oh, yes.
As a species, the talent that you represent, the beauty of them is that they've spent decades training, but receiving coaching. So they are used to being coached. So you pick up the phone and be like, hey, dummy, I need you to get over here and you got to take care of this. Oh, okay. Yeah. I'll go do it. Right.
Yeah.
There's an innocence there. When, 500 million people around the world were singing Purple Rain, you got to remember, like Prince really thought rain was purple. Like, and he would be like,
And then he was at the Super Bowl, it starts raining.
and there's no fucking way rain is not purple to him, right? And that is who he is as a human. And you can't tell him any differently, right? So I just think that a Kanye is just, his experience is fundamentally different than, an athlete.
Yeah.
And you have to treat their universe of experience as such. So entirely different.
And there's also different influences too. Because when you're an athlete, you're more concerned about what you're putting in your body, how you train. Like there's a structure and a certain level of discipline that if you haven't mastered that at a certain level, you're not even touching those next levels. So once you're at those different levels, that's because you got it. You bought into a system, you understand the system, and you have made that system like your creme de la creme.
Yeah.
And you don't really veer off of that. Like the best of the best athletes, like it's like clockwork.
Yeah.
Like LeBron, it's like he trains like a beast. It's embedded in him of what I need to do to go that extra mile, and everybody doesn't have that it. Where I think on the entertainment side, there's a little bit more loopiness.
What's loopiness mean? Like what's that mean?
There's a lot. There's like drugs that play into it. There's substance abuse to the next level.
That's just having fun.
That also weighs in on your like decision making.
But the role of the athlete and the role of the artist, those are two very different things. So I would argue that the role of the athlete and the nature of outperformance in sport, it is to prove out the human since time's beginning until time's end the story of good over evil. Okay, that is what LeBron's tenaciousness is all about, is our human need to see that good wins out over evil in the universe, right? Superman versus Lex Luthor. Right?
Sometimes you feel like it did, and sometimes you feel like
Sometimes,
it didn't, depending on your perspective. Right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Like, this guy's a villain, and I thought this guy was the superhero, and wires got crossed. But in true Nina Simone fashion, artists, they're the CNN. They are the reflection of the times. So it's hard to disabuse the wider culture, and whether it's, meth or,
Coke,
fentanyl, whatever, from this artist, rest the soul of Big Homie Quan.
Yeah,
right?
that's what I was getting.
Who passed away yesterday. Throw some D's on it. But he embodied and mirrored the culture from which he came. And that's an important and precious quotient, So in some ways, I think of them as soldiers, right? That a Rich Homie Quan kind of like was that in the culture, that his life was sacrificed. So I guess it's the time-honored saying, don't hate the player, hate the game. Did you see how I did that?
That was a good twist.
That's pretty good.
Wow.
And you leave me with two questions. One, have you? I think you're speaking.
Have I done fentanyl? No.
No.
Okay.
Thank you.
Well, now that we checked that box.
No, but in all seriousness, that's the Rick Rubin book
Yes.
that he put out, right? Is like that like the artist opens themselves up to be able to process that and
give
put
it
it
back.
out.
Right.
But the question is, when you see this go as a black man, and you see, so every young death of a white man, I don't feel. But like, do you feel those? And like, now you're getting to the point where you're outliving.
Yeah, for sure. Yes.
You're outliving.
These are my nephews.
Running the streets.
Right, for sure.
As a kid.
Yeah.
Like, even if you were wealthy, we were just feral.
Sure.
Right? Like, like, it doesn't matter what your background was. Now you're outliving that as a black man.
Yeah.
Right? Do you feel those?
100% do. 100%. Yeah, the loss is unique and it feels personal. And I feel once again the culture,
So being
It's like, how
white,
do we get solutions though? Because that's my whole point.
white people just pick this up, this reducing. But you know what? There's a real answer. It's not me. Like, don't do opiates. Like, don't do opiates. Don't sniff cocaine now because it might have opiates.
Right.
Like,
That's like-
0% chance I'm dying of an overdose.
Right.
0% chance, and that's what's reducing the white life. But like, that's not new as a black man.
It's not.
And that's a different.
And
that's a
how many
different
do we
world.
have to lose?
Yeah.
Like to your point, greats, creatives, like people who mean so much to the culture, who have such a heavy influence on that next generation. And we're losing them younger and younger because of these acts. So it's like, where does the solution come in where...
But it's...
But what he said was that's embedded within
With
the
the
culture.
culture.
So
But
if you
how
go
do you-
back to Birmingham,
Yeah.
you go to the west side of Birmingham or the east side of Birmingham, that's life. Like, you don't live that long.
Yeah.
That doesn't make it okay though.
I'm gonna get a little woo on everybody. So in some of the Buddhist traditions, the most revered plant is the lotus. And the lotus on the surface is beautiful, it's colorful, there's a lily in there, it's just gorgeous. But it grows in mud, right? And so there's a famed Buddhist teacher, Thich Nhat Hanh, and he talks about how you can only have something beautiful with mud, right? The importance of the mud in creating the beauty. And I think that there is a parallel to the culture. Like, there are so many illustrations in hip hop of how someone's suffering created wider awareness for the culture to do just that very point, right? To educate you on the ills of, excess or whatever it was. What was from Houston? Oh man, homie, my mind is playing. No. A little before your era. But
Ghetto Boys?
Ghetto Boys, right? My
No,
mind is
that's
playing
in
tricks
my-
on me,
that's
right?
it- That is in my
But what was
wheelhouse.
that? That was like, I'm smoking too
Yeah,
much
you guys
weed and
got
I'm
me beat.
paranoid, right?
Yeah, that's
fucking
exactly what he said.
That's exactly what he said, right? I am
precisely
fucking-
his lyric.
Now, how many people were out there paranoid on chronic? And they were like, damn,
Right.
that's what I'm trying to say.
Wish it went
I'm
away
fucking
the day they legalized. Is that not weird? That paranoia goes away. Different things replace, move in, but
Yeah.
that
That's
paranoid feeling, if you put those lyrics, I don't think kids would know what that means.
Yeah.
Like in the way I guess we did at that point.
Yeah. But I think that is a sort of a current or an undercurrent in hip hop is, whatever that designer drug is of the moment, there are those who are like, fucked up on pills or whatever it is. Sometimes they're glorifying it, but many times they're like, this is the real,
Yeah, that was their life.
yeah.
Yeah.
So
I mean,
Yeah. It's just sad.
it is sad.
because I can't imagine feeling that way.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm with you.
Like I don't even know who you were talking about.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like so we were talking a previous episode, we were talking about Michael Jackson. I remember Michael Jackson then. Like I
Right.
felt something then.
Yeah.
But for some reason that wasn't a tragedy of being black.
Right.
That was just a tragedy of being human.
Right.
And I do think I think there's some very unique things that make life fucking tough if you're a black woman.
Yes.
That
Hell
don't exist for a
yeah.
black
That's
man.
right. Yes, different.
But
for sure.
there is a tragedy of being a black man that we can't understand in that process. And I
Yeah.
do believe that.
Yeah, and there's also an opportunity.
Pressures.
Because I think, whether it's the Michigan Fab Five or other illustrations in sports, we love an underdog story, right? And I think to be a black man is to be the perpetual underdog. And if you can have a mindset of abundance where I'm going to, crush this shit, 50 Cent, get rich, die trying, and prove your detractors wrong, prove the society. Like, I'll be honest, I'm in, venture capital. I've worked with everyone in sports and entertainment, music, work in finance. The absolute most strongest business person I ever worked with in my 30 years, 50 Cent, hands down. He's
love
better
50
than
Cent.
you. He's better than me. 50 Cent is a genius. I don't think he gets his roses like he truly deserves.
Is it because he talks so much shit? 'Cause he
So
talks a lot of shit. I like his shit.
I think,
I like 50.
to
He's just a mogul.
to offer Gilly's podcast, I think it's $1 million a game he's giving. I
Yeah,
think he's just giving
always.
gems all the time.
Always.
What
He
makes him
recently-
the best, though?
He has always gone or advanced the culture by going against it. This was the first guy who, when there was a little brand called Vitamin Water, was like, nah, you keep your $1 million. I want shares. No one ever did that before.
Yeah.
Respectfully, not Jay, not Wayne. Nobody ever did that before. And what did Vitamin Water exit for? That was $300 million in his pocket for his shares in that company. Okay, that's in 2003.
Yeah.
That's when record sales were still like popping. But he was like, nope, keep your check. I want shares.
Atu introduced me to Chameleonaire. And he's like, I won't come speak to your students, not because I don't want to speak to, like he'd come meet with students.
Sure.
But he's like, I'm not coming to do a speech because it's performative and
Yeah.
I don't do that.
No, he doesn't. Yeah. He's
and I was
too
like,
smart. Yeah.
And we've had a couple calls with him about creatorship. And,
Yeah.
and what he said was, the way you're thinking about it is the way I was thinking about it.
Right.
You're just moving upstream.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Moving upstream to the 16, 17, 18, 19-year-olds we
Yeah.
were talking about before is move upstream. And so when I think about what is the $1 billion business that I want to build on this, it's paying them to educate them.
Explain that.
Why the fuck would anybody with the level of upside as Cooper Flagg pay an agent, pay a financial advisor, pay a university, whatever you want to learn? Why would they pay?
Right. Yeah.
Why wouldn't I pay them?
Yeah.
Let me teach you how to do this. I'll figure out, by the way, I'm going to pay you, but it's coming back to my fund.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's gonna, and we'll build it together.
Yeah.
But I'll teach you.
Small shout out to the Worth Institute, because I don't think that you find people that see the intersectionality of media and tech and finance and, you know, the 360 that you teach.
Well, and some of it is like you got to get out in the world and do it.
Yeah.
One of our guests was like, well, he's a good guy. And he goes, so you can't, those who teach can't do, right? And I was like,
right.
Definitely.
Right.
I was like, but we can keep trying. do you know what I mean?
Yeah, of course.
And there are certain things, and we've been talking about this, is like, well, I get a lot more excited working with Ross or Sophie or Shannon or Rudy. Like, they've already proven, both of those clowns over there, they've already proven they'll show up.
Right. Yeah.
17-year-old kid, I don't trust them to show up anymore. You want me to put time and effort into this, and I can't even trust you'll show up. What happens when it gets bad? When you're sitting on 3,800 games of roast me in the inventory? What do you do when you got 3,800 games? Like, how do you sell it? Buy it at roastmeat.com. Buy it. I gotta get a Shopify app, sell off their games.
Wow.
But like, you know what I mean? Like I know what they're gonna do. They're going to find the next thing. They're going to move on. They're going to keep going. They're going to keep digging. I know what Russ is going to do. He's going to succeed in this. And if he's not going to succeed on this one, you got the next one and the next one. I know what Marcus is going to do. I know what Eric's is. And I'm like looking at the world and I'm like, hey, we've taken all the opportunities from these kids away to prove that they're going to show up.
Yeah. Yeah.
And like, that's really fucking boring people to work with. So like when I look at creatorship, again, the democratization of entrepreneurship, you can prove to me before I ever teach you that you're going to show up, and then I'm going to invest my time and effort and love and network and all of those things.
Yeah.
Because
I like that.
You've shown up.
I go along with that. What do you think, Erika?
That's fair.
Don't you want to represent athletes that show up?
Absolutely.
Like,
I honestly just want to represent athletes that get it and just want to
can
learn.
we just
more
small
of it,
shout out to Erika for representing athletes? Like, can we just draw a little box around that for a minute? Like, that's dope.
Yeah, it's like, sometimes babysitting grown babies.
So
I like
to. Yeah.
Because, a lot of them are needy, or because I do pay so close attention to who they are and really build out a relationship to get to know them, it becomes like, hey, like an obligation sometimes with certain things, because I am so particular in how I handle things for them, to where they start feeling like, hey, if I haven't sent them checked them in for their flight and sent their confirmation over, it's like, oh my gosh, the world's gonna end. I haven't checked in for my flight. I don't have, I'm like, guys, like this is stuff that you should be doing yourself. Absolutely. Like you got an iPhone.
You don't even have to check in. All you do is turn. No,
I spoil my clients though.
I worked with some great music managers, and I remember one who represented a top 3 entertainer whose name was called, I won't mention it, and we were at lunch here in Miami, and this entertainer must have called in a 20-minute span, like no shit, like 15 times.
I believe it.
And the manager said, you, as a manager, you can never not take the call. You always have to take the call.
Well, if you don't take the call, it tells them exactly what they need to know about your relationship.
Yeah, right.
That is. I had the same relationship issue with my mother today.
Momager.
I call my mom.
Momager.
I say, I don't even think my mom knows what I majored in. Let's see. Fuck it. Let's test it. Click. Straight to voicemail. Like not straight to voicemail. Like ring, ring, ring. Then the voicemail. And I'm like,
so she saw that you were calling.
No, yeah, and like, but that I'm like, that
Try
tells you what you need to
renegotiating
know.
the deal with mom, though.
It
Not
don't
an
matter
easy
if she knows.
negotiation.
Like, she ain't taking my call. I don't make it through. But that tells you everything you need to know about your relationship at that point. Did they pick up the phone?
Yeah.
And a weird thing, and in a lot of things,
you execute?
In a
'Cause
lot of things, it's the same thing. And I've had that conversation with her, and I said, I don't give a fuck what you're gonna do for me.
Yeah.
I want to know what you're gonna do when it's bad.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like if I can't count on you when I need you,
Yeah.
then it don't matter.
Yeah.
And like, guess what? You're managing talent. That one phone call could be the time they needed you.
Yep.
Right. And like, yeah, you got to do it.
Yeah.
And where do we think that, you know, I worked with an artist, and we used to always say that if Coca-Cola wanted to launch a new Coke product, it would cost, in today's money, it would probably cost like, I don't know what you say, like maybe $200 million if they were going to do a new Coke, right? And if I wanted to do a new beverage product, I'd want to try to get featured with Kai Cenat or a streamer, right? And we'd make $200 million. And so the point there is that big corporations no longer can use mass and scale to accomplish a job that a streamer can do with like just a microphone and a camera.
Some streamers can do.
Some. But even that, right? Like when the world or legacy media was owned and controlled by a few, and then you only were able to buy into legacy media, print, TV, radio, by big consumer brands, right? They ain't the only ones that had the guap to pay to get on, you know, a TV station or in a print ad. But in today's world, if you have the influence, you can reach the masses. So I guess my question is like, what's the 2.0 of where we are? Is it Web3? Is Web3 potent enough? Is there some catalyst based on AI that makes the tools unparalleled? Can you just like have 1 million phone calls, individual phone calls at one time through AI and just replicate your voice? And
No
people,
problem.
1 million people think they're having a phone call with me. Like, what is it that is the next big thing?
I mean, it just you don't get to predict that. It just comes.
It just
like,
comes. Yeah.
The thing that you. So here's my guess. It's the thing that we're afraid to say because we think nobody else is thinking it.
Right.
But everybody's thinking
Everybody's
it.
thinking it.
And
Yeah.
like that phenomenon, and
Yeah.
that's what someone explained that to me recently. I think on the show. I have no idea, but that's virality.
Yeah.
It's like you say the things people are thinking, but they're not saying it.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh yeah,
Yeah.
that's it.
Yeah.
That's where whether you're spewing forward homophobic content,
Right.
raises positive affirmation. It doesn't matter.
Right.
There's people out there thinking that stuff, right? Like, and so that's why it finds a home. So the next thing is like, you know, like Instagram, bad investment, right? Like for Mark, like how'd you spend $2 million on this shitty app that doesn't have YouTube? Terrible investment for Google when it happened, right? Like you spent what?
Right.
Like those were great investments.
Huge game changers. Yeah.
You know, so TikTok is going to go away. It's not, right? It's here. I think YouTube is bigger than. I'm more and more convinced that YouTube gets bigger and bigger and bigger. Like I don't think it's done. Like the runway, it's like
What
my
about
take
Amazon?
I think Amazon
streaming
gets bigger.
sports, like
Yeah,
that
I
looks
think
fucking
Amazon gets
massive.
bigger.
It's like
they have
Amazon
to.
is just like on
what?
a whole new
They're
level,
on a
man. They're
whole
so
ass
ahead of
new
the
level.
game.
Amazon's penetration in households is a third of YouTube's.
it is insane.
Really?
Wow.
A third. It's like Google.
That's crazy.
Versus 10.
Well, I'm not gonna lie. I have YouTube TV, so
Dude,
Let's
I
say
mean,
I'm one of those.
They ate traditional media. They have YouTube TV, and they got everything else.
Everything
and
else, yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, Amazon's good, but they're to me they're
That's true.
not great. I mean, They're still playing the model. The model derivation isn't that big. So then, all right, let's
But
talk.
can you imagine?
College
Can you imagine watching a fucking basketball game on Amazon Prime, and they're like, "Do you want hot dogs or a pretzel?" And you click yes, and then a motherfucker shows up at your house like
Delivering
30
it.
minutes later.
Yeah, that's what it is.
But that's
Dog,
what we're getting
no,
into,
that's what I'm
though.
saying.
I'm gonna
Yeah,
give you my
that's what we're getting into.
hot take here, right?
Yeah, let's hear it.
You ready for this?
I got
'Cause
you.
This is like,
Let's hear it.
I think every president and athletic director that killed the Pac-10 should be shot. Taken outside.
We
and
don't condone
shot.
violence.
Because they made the biggest economic mistake in college sports.
What did they do?
They walked away from streaming and subscription with Apple.
Dumb move. Yeah.
Dumbest fucking thing. Every
Yeah.
one of them, they can call me. I'm not applying to their school because they're too stupid for me to work at.
Fair.
And like
That's a
they
hot
walked
take.
away, killed
That's a hot take.
100-year history, killed the Rose Bowl in my opinion, killed everything history. They got kids flying all around the country like idiots. They're gonna ruin every college experience of every women's lacrosse player, every track. Like football works nationally, no other sport does like that.
Yeah.
And they didn't take the new Amazon built itself cannibalizing its own business, right? They built itself cannibalizing. We do this, we build this, we build that. They should have done the deal with Apple. And at the very
There's
least,
a lot of people that should have done the deal with Apple.
right? Right? Like you go
Jimmy
back in
Iovine
history.
is like, oh, we should have done the deal with Apple. I don't know why we didn't do the deal.
Right. You
Yeah,
go back.
I mean, a lot of people.
it doesn't work. And the more and more it plays out, I'm like, that subscription revenue. Imagine if we were the first players.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Imagine if we were the first ones. First mover advantage is real, right?
real, yeah.
In this space, and because you capture so much of it on that in technology, and they don't get that it's a marriage of technology and entertainment and media, and we could have captured it.
Well, I mean, even look at the sports betting too.
Bring it in.
That's a whole.
How come the NCAA is charging their schools and making nothing from DraftKings? Ask me if the NFL is making money from DraftKings,
Absolutely.
right?
Yeah.
Honestly,
Again,
just seeing.
fire the NCAA. See, I'm pushing, getting
They're now
fired.
allowing-
Fire David. Fire David. No, but seriously, fire the NCAA.
Give
Shut
us a
them
little
down.
game on what
$2.3 billion they're going to settle with other people's money.
Give us game on what is the new face of college sports, the business of college sports? What are the?
I think the old line athletic directors are done. Maybe they become fundraising. Yeah, you still have fundraising. It's not as important. Media is bigger. You have to move the media out of the university. You can't move it to the Learfield IMGs of the world because they cannot do it. They won't. They've already proven.
Does the new AD does that person?
I think there's revenue officers, right?
Okay.
I think there's.
Okay.
I think there's. I think you have.
But
there's no
here's my
person
thing is
built to run that business.
What's his name? Bean, Moneyball.
Yeah.
Okay.
Those are
completely-
inside. Billy Beans are inside teams. You have general managers for football teams.
Okay, but so the way you had a statistician come in and really kind of change over the nature of coaching, do you need a CAA, Rock Nation Sports
Hell no.
agent type to be an AD to do NIL deals?
No, you need a private equity.
You need a private
You're a private
equity guy.
equity guy.
Yeah,
You need a
right.
media person like Notre Dame.
Yeah.
Notre Dame is hey, when you guys all figure it out, holler.
Yeah.
We got our deal.
Yeah.
Whoever does the negotiations for Notre Dame, how they in the CFP without being in a conference? If I were hiring and building the future, I would go and hire the biggest name in media.
There's a school that just did a deal with cookies. College University just did a deal with cookies on cannabis, but more on the recovery properties of it.
I think that's genius. I 100%.
And I think it's in California. And I think that's super cool because I was like, wow, we're going to start seeing cannabis now at the college level.
I hope.
Well, I mean, I
I'm
think
not
it's,
a cannabis guy,
you can't
but
test
I
anymore
hope.
for it. I think.
You know?
I think
Yeah.
this is the first year.
Well,
they're
and
not
when
testing.
once it becomes a Schedule 3, because I think Biden has pushed it down to like the DEA and the FDA. Once it becomes a Schedule 3, it's like Tylenol.
Right.
And the interesting thing is then you can get federal research dollars.
Yep.
So all of the campuses are going to be competing for federal dollars to study the property. So recovery, that's going to be a whole ass.
I think that's
we
the
have a
next
large-
future thing.
We have a large research program at UConn in cannabis. We're one of the early ones and big ones. And
I hope
we have a
more.
major.
I hope
I
more
think we already have a major.
HBCUs. Shout out to HBCUs. If y'all are listening, like get your cannabis game. Like
think
we've
they're
been in the
listening.
weed game since the beginning. Let's like really like fucking like make real money for black people and black students.
Yep.
I don't think
With the plant.
HBCUs listen to me.
What's the plan?
I think though, like, yeah, what's the plan? Like, the people that are going to make the money are the people that have the money. Like, that's like, it's pretty simple. Like,
David just dropping bars.
no, but
Giving
I mean,
y'all bars.
but like, who-
Said the people that are going
nah.
to make the money, the people that have the money.
yeah, it requires
Shit.
huge amounts of investment.
It
They
does.
built that.
That's a white
and so
man
th- so
bar
we're-
right there.
yeah,
You gotta be a white man to say some shit like
That's a
that.
privilege
we're-
bar. A privilege
So we were
bar.
talking. She's like, "Oh, I want these rules.
I want
and
these
no."
white man bars.
Yeah,
Shit.
dude, I'm very white.
That's
I'm very white.
And you have bars.
And I'm bars.
You know, honestly, to circle all the way back around to the beginning of the conversation, I think this is why I jumped 2 feet into a President Harris presidency versus a Donald Trump presidency, is that we just have to stop making excuses. We have not lived in a meritocracy, right? It favors some. It allows preference and mediocrity for some, and does not give wide-scale access to others. And it's on the board level, it's on the management level,
C-suite.
the C-suite level. And it is just time to retire a bit of privilege that forever has belonged to white men.
I'm not giving any of it up.
Well, not without a fight.
Not without
brother.
a fight. And I'm going to give you the case for Donald Trump.
Come on, Erika. I'll hold him
That's
down.
no,
I'll give you the
that-
ca-
Whoop his ass.
I'll give you the case for Donald Trump. You
Listen.
want it right here?
Go.
Bring bullying back.
That's
I
your
agree.
take.
I'm for-
That's
I'm
your
Puffing,
take.
puffing some people up.
50 Cent, baby.
As much as I
Bring
hate
it
to
back.
say it,
Toughen
I
up,
actually
Buttercup.
agree with
Puffing it.
that.
Okay.
That's
All
the
right.
case.
All right, but honestly,
I agree
like,
with
can
that.
we just get globally competitive with this newfound toughness?
Well, I think
and
the
not,
reality.
boss up on each other and
Well,
like.
I think the
fucking,
reality is
like get our math shit together and go after like engineering in China. That would be nice to like bring
Yeah.
the semiconductor industry here. You know,
start beating kids up that don't learn math.
Or don't put us in position when things are already failing.
like
'Cause that's
America
the
is.
thing.
That's a very that's a
Because
diversity, a real issue. And
I
with
was-
women
I
and-
would just say around the world, people are watching the lunch yard fight of America or Americans against other Americans. And they're like, keep at it because we are raiding the bank while you clowns are fucking
they're
fighting each
clowning.
other. And that is fact. You
That's-
travel
that's
around the
what I'm
world,
about.
that is what's happening.
Nigeria.
Absolutely.
Nigeria is massive right now. With
Well,
cash.
Michael Milken, he's like, the next global superpower isn't China, it isn't India, it's Nigeria.
It's massive.
So
It's massive. The-
But can we
but they got it from my email.
we didn't even smash on like, you know, our true gift, which is soft power, which is pop culture, like
Influence.
K.6 God. Like, what's up? Like,
All right, we're
I
gonna
mean-
we're gonna do a set, like, let's do 10 to 12 minutes that can be a separate separate post on K.Dot.
It could always be that.
Yeah. So yeah, let's cut it from the episode so it's its own thing. So
its
there
own
you go.
thing. No,
All right.
I mean,
so,
I think
so.
either-
Thank you for coming to the David Noble Show and bringing your wisdom.
it has been
It was
friend.
amazing
What?
talking to you.
my
A breath of fresh
I love-
newest
air.
oldest friend.
Newest oldest
Erika.
friend.
Yes.
She's one of my newest oldest friends as well.
Wow.
And you're like my middleest. You're my middleest friend of friends.
Middleest bestest friend.
That
And
Middleest
my middle
bestest
child.
the middleest friend that I like the most. How about
I
that?
like that.
There you go.
The middleest friend who I like the most.
Marcus, lockstep friendships.
Well, I'm
we haven't
already
said the
sold.
word. We haven't said the words till now. At the end, I guarantee nobody hears them. But
It wouldn't be the first time
That's
I
it.
was ignored.
it's me. It's not you. It's me. Erika's first time co-hosting.
Yeah, woo.
Congratulations.
Popped
She's
my
done.
cherry.
I really
Dope
want her.
job.
We can't say that. Like,
Oh, we can't?
no, yeah,
Oh.
you can. Of course.
Here go, pop my cherry.
I really want to thank you
I can't
guys.
say that.
But all right.
Sounded good.
You set it up, Chris, because you've wanted to have this conversation. You want this timestamp. Do you want to sit in the chair and I'll hold that microphone?
I don't care one way or another.
Because I just want it on my channel, but I want to hear your take, and I will definitely throw in because I have strong thoughts. So you're welcome to sit here.
I don't care. I don't think it's
'Cause
that
You look
necessary.
super comfy.
This is the David
I
Noble
am
show.
I've been
very
watching you all
comfortable.
day.
I am
Like,
very
oh.
Put a
comfortable.
camera on him.
Yeah, like he just
we
looks
did,
so
we
cozy.
did before.
We
here,
had
wait,
one, yeah.
we have to use them all
Yeah.
here.
What I'm most interested in now is like the post beef proceedings, if you will. Like what I'm interested in.
You didn't like
is-
the beef?
No, I loved it. I followed it very, very closely. I've been
Were
following
you
this.
surprised?
No,
Were you
not at all.
surprised
Not
that-
at all. Not at all. Because I've been following it since like it started in 2013.
Yeah, but I think that part of the
This is
genius, the zeitgeist of the moment was, I think for a lot of people, that was like their true first heavyweight fight. Because I think up until that point, like diss tracks and battle rap was like a middleweight category. Like
Yeah.
Pusha from the Clips. Like Pusha's dope. And he will like bars against anybody.
But he's not 100 million listeners. Streamers a month.
Respect due.
My
to-
my favorite Drake disses were Joe Budden disses.
Yeah, no, I mean, Joe Budden's gonna like give you bars all day, but I still think the Drake K Dot.
That was the heavyweight. Yeah.
Well, not only, but it was the foreshadowing with J. Cole. Like that was. I mean, there was nothing that set that up. Could have ever set that up any better than J. Cole in front of an audience of like 20,000 people. Like
That was actually
y'all
the craziest
don't
part of the
know what
entire
storm is about to hit.
thing. Yeah.
And I don't want
Anything
part of
to
it.
do with
I don't
it.
want any part of it. And
But-
like,
I'm gonna
That has-
dissociate myself live in front of everybody.
and everybody was like, "You're whack. You're weak." And he was like,
That
"Nah, you just don't know what's about to go
Right.
that
down."
storyline is not done.
not.
That gets addressed at some point because I'm not satisfied with him stepping out. Like we don't have enough context for that. Like, okay, cool, it got ugly and stuff. There were conversations that were had that I think you'll get some context of at some point, but it has not come out yet because he
It
hasn't
hasn't.
dropped that album yet.
But see, to me, that it makes it like a fucking Star Wars trilogy, and like you have the prequels. Like that whole J. Cole shit was the prequel. It's like the prequel to Star Wars. But then you have like the adjacent stories with like Metro Boomin and like
Future and
you know
That second
with,
Metro
like,
album was amazing.
with
by the way.
BBL like
Yeah, BBL Drizzy.
BBL
And then
Drizzy.
Drake
It's like
flips
a whole
that.
other franchise.
Drake flips that. Like it's a whole thing.
It was a whole universe, and I don't think anybody.
then it also like became more of a racial thing too, because
Give us bars on that.
I feel like Drake has almost been this like pillar who came into the game and has been skyrocketing since he touched down. And I think the way that he views
became a child
music
actor?
and business, kind of like what we're saying to the 50 Cent thing, he's had a different mind frame since he first stepped into the rap game. And he already had plans. He's always ahead of the game. And I think that's why it was always so hard to take him down just in general, because of his ability, his marketing ability, the way that he can be so ahead of everyone else to where, okay, I already see all the angles that you guys can attack me, but guess what? I already got a solution, or I already know. And
Until
so-
this.
and did he miss
Kendrick-
this?
Until but
Do you
even
think he
this,
just missed it?
I don't even
or-
think he
No.
necessarily
It
missed,
just-
to be
it-
honest.
It just ran so counter to his orthodoxy, right? Everything philosophically that he
Yep.
stood for turned out to be like on a house of cards. And
But it was a
K-Dot just
cultural play,
knocked
too.
one card out, and it was a cultural
a
play,
cultural
but it was
play.
also like there were elements of it that were like you needed to have like deep like behavioral understanding of like human behavior and human psychology, and like you could tell that Kendrick took a psychiatrist approach.
Oh yeah, you
That
have
his
to.
bars were like diagnosing his toxicity.
Yeah.
That was everything that Drake had come into the game to embody.
Right.
And then one person comes along and says, that whole thing is a bag of disease.
Yeah.
It's like,
But also
game
being
over.
able to share that with not having that baggage either, because that would have been a play more to Drake if it was like, okay, you can take a jab at me, but then you're all these toxic things as well. So now I can spit this back at you. And the fact that there hasn't been that same public narrative with K-Dot, it's like, okay, I have to beat you in a completely different way. Because how I beat Meek Mill or how I came for Pusha, like I said, these are public people that have other personal factors out there where it's like, okay, I can kind of like pull on these ends. But also, from my understanding, a lot of it started because of him being able to do a unorthodox business deal on the music side, which allowed him to now have ownership in everybody's music, even people that he collaborates with. So he's eating from different ways where a lot of the artists are only getting one lane from that and kind of fighting these bigger conglomerates because of that. And he's, in a sense, playing on both sides of the fence because of who he is and the rooms that he's able to get into. And also just of what his influence has been, it's allowed him to almost like double dip in different ways that no one else has been able to figure it out yet.
Okay, perfect, because that's where I'm most interested in now. Like, it was an amazing show. I was fully tuned into it, very entertained by it. This 100 gigs thing that he's doing.
Yep.
I know if Drake is making a deliberate move in anything, there's a lot of pettiness involved. and sure, there's a lot of pettiness that's involved on the artist front of things. But the biggest fuck you, if you will, the biggest amount of pettiness to me is he's playing some kind of label game with the 100 gigs thing. Because it goes up first on his fucking website. It doesn't go on any of the streaming platforms whatsoever. At some point, or the timeline kind of is telling. Like, it's usually like, I want to say somewhere between like 5 to 7 days after, maybe even a little bit shorter, that it ends up going on DSPs. I obviously I know nothing, any actual, factual evidence of this, but you can insinuate what's going on behind the scenes if you know kind of how labels operate and artists. And
Marcus knows nothing about how labels operate.
Nothing.
Yeah. Well, so then you
He was only
tell me.
he only flexed Quincy Jones on us.
did.
Like, he's
We were 10 minutes in. We were talking about Quincy Jones.
Some dope Quincy stories.
He's we got another 3 hours. I want to know what's going on with that. Like, they're clearly taking that figure, like, as quickly as possible, putting it onto the streaming platforms. Then another song comes back down. Like, there's literally this tug of war that's going on right now. In my mind, at least, that's what I'm seeing out of it. There's a tug of war with Drake music because he's so large at this point, and he's made, like you were saying, all these inroads where or as you were saying, to be able to play kind of both sides of the fence, like artists and also.
It's the only game that he can play as well as he plays. So my friend will.i.am, he used to say that there are no more record labels. He would say there's no more record labels because there's no more records.
Right.
A record was an invention of a world gone by. It was a piece of wax.
Yeah.
And based on the machine that made the piece of wax, you could fit between 9 and 13 songs. That's it. You could fit between 9 and 13. And then you had to work as a musician to make sure those 9 to 13 songs were in length somewhere between 5 and 8 minutes.
Yeah.
Because in order to mathematically fit them on that piece of wax, the record contract that still exists to this day is based on a record on a piece of wax.
Why is that?
Mathematics related to wax
Mathematics related to wax, right?
dictates
when-
today's
when
Why is
artists-
that? Why is it still like that?
That's-
Because
Because
somebody
they're old
holds the
and
leverage
backwards.
from that
So their
situation
point
still,
is,
right?
It's like a fucking dinosaur, this business.
And-
And so Steve Stout would say, the minute that Drake can there's going to be no more record labels. The minute that Drake can just drop, hold his publishing, and reach 100
Yep.
million fans.
And so that's how Kendrick Lamar tricked Drake into saving the music industry, because Drake was never going to do that because he was getting too much fucking money before. And now he's mad.
well, so
A lot of
I
people are
still think
mad.
it's swimming
I had to
further
find a way to
upstream.
give the credit to
It
Kendrick.
still is private equity that are like
Yeah.
the pulling the strings of the.
Let me have my moment, okay?
It's
No, but
pirate
I
equity
agree.
play. Oh,
But so this is my
PE,
point. This is
folks.
my point about creatorship. This is my point about creatorship.
Yeah.
I don't like SoundCloud was a thing that happened and pushed it out, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now it's TikTok.
Yeah.
So it's going to change. It change the mathematics of the music change.
Mm-hmm.
15, 30, 60. 15, 30, 60.
Yeah.
That's the time frames
Yeah.
that you have. So like you have to make stuff that's like auto for AI to pair with your video.
Yeah.
Because like we're not in 5 years we're not gonna like sit, like
No.
you're not gonna do all that work. You just press here's my video,
And it just
here's
goes.
10 words,
Get it
and
done.
now pair it up, right? And so and like we'll be able to give it creative direction, right? Like that's where we'll play. So like I think about how awesome that is for the creator on the music side that they can skip that now. They can go around it. They can build their systems. And I think you can distribute on a mass level with the TikTok algorithm. And we so now we're gonna bring we're gonna bring the Sabrina Carpenter, or what was her name? Is that her name? We were listening today, right? And I'm like, no, because he's on a lot of girl podcasts. And I'm like, we're like, oh, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, no. Like, it's big. Like, it's way bigger than you think. So Atu in the back seat, pulls it up. 75 million monthly streamers on Spotify.
And I vouch that at least 30 million of those are real.
Easily.
Dope.
Easily.
Yeah, it's great.
And like most people never even heard of this girl. Right? And like, she's not good musically, but she's built out for her songs are somebody's building those songs for, whether it's
I don't
her or
think you
not.
need
They're
artistically to
building
be
those
good
songs
anymore.
for them.
I don't think so
that's
either. I
not
think you
the
just gotta
math.
know how to manipulate the system.
And it's the thing that I asked you at the beginning of the day. You said customer funnels. It's just about a funnel, right?
And the talent will win over time.
Yeah.
Because the talent will figure out the technology. Elvis figured out
Yeah.
the wax.
Sure.
Right? Or someone around Elvis, right?
See, this is what happens if you let him start spitting white
Why
guy
it
bars.
always
He's
comes
gonna
back
use-
to
he's gonna
Elvis.
use
Elvis.
Elvis as-
The women of white man bars.
But no, but if
Elvis.
you think about it, you can move around.
Yeah.
And I think that's what that's what you're seeing is like you're seeing the breakup of that dynamic, and there will be a fight over it.
Yeah.
Like anything else, just like sports, just like college sports,
Yeah.
college sports as we knew it is dead. You can feel bad about that, and you can get on with building the future, or you can complain about it being destroyed. Movie making of the past is dead. Music making of the past is dead.
Yeah.
Doesn't mean there isn't a room for jazz. But I think you want to know what the 45-year-old white dude sees when he sees like that concert? Crip walking's cool. Crip walking's
He's
fucking
not wrong.
cool.
A white
Fucking
man is
cool.
not wrong.
Like
to love
holy
some-
shit,
some
where has
sea
that been
walking.
my whole life? That's what
he's right.
I'm looking at. I'm like,
Yeah.
how does he do that?
Yeah. Right. Yeah. No, it's just all together.
Elvis never did that
All
shit.
together.
Yeah,
No, Elvis never did that.
Elvis did
I
some
mean,
things
the
though, man. But
beat,
like
the
that,
dancing,
I was
the
like,
people involved.
I mean, that was
like,
just to kind of
so much
elevate
unity.
so much unity,
that
and
it
like if
really-
you recall the I can't recall the name of Kendrick's show,
Pop out?
the pop up.
Pop out.
pop out.
Excuse me, the
Yeah.
pop out. And there's a moment when Kendrick is doing, I think he did back to back,
Like 5
like
times.
us, 5 times, and you had Russell Westbrook,
Yep.
you had other players and figures.
I mean,
But the
LeBron was
beauty
singing
is
along in the crowd.
LeBron was singing along. But the beauty is, they were all black men, and they were holding hands and dancing together. and it wasn't
the end.
homophobic,
No.
right?
And they were
Like,
gang members.
and they were gang members.
It was like Crip
Their
What's a
whole-
gang
Bloods.
at this point? What's a gang at this point? Come on.
I don't know. I don't know. Other
Honestly,
Dude, that ain't the gangs. It's like
not,
the 80s.
no,
dude.
and respect,
Like,
dude.
Yeah.
But
like
yes,
Dr. Dre
they're
looks at a
businessmen.
gang today and is like,
No,
that's not
they're
how we-"
businessmen.
Yeah.
They're businessmen. But I think that just to give you a white man bar, like I hope that we get more like ETFs in the music business. Like I'd love to see an ETF of like rap battles, and I want to invest and participate in the yield.
That'd be cool.
Right? Like
That'd be cool.
like that would be some shit.
Yeah.
Right. Otto back there was working on something around sports and the NIL situation and ETFs. Like, I think that's what's exciting. I don't know. I might buy Drake stock
Yeah.
right alongside Kendrick stock and just like,
Well, you can buy it right now.
Long positions on both of them,
I think we're gonna see that though. I've seen some companies pop up already just on the college side with athletes where they're trying to
I think that's a
you buy your
big-
stock in
yeah,
here
yeah.
and
Yeah.
there's cutoffs, there's tiers.
So my
They're trying to figure it out.
My belief is if you're trying to buy their future revenue, you're in the wrong game. You have to buy their business. They have a business. Create a fucking LLC, create an S corp, whatever. Create a C corp, whatever structure works, and buy it.
I have a friend. He did that for Billy Joel. He gave him and this was in the 70s. He gave him, I can't remember how much. It might have been like $1 million. And he was like, I want 20% of whatever you make for your lifetime. Billy Joel was like, done.
The market's too liquid now.
Fair.
With name, image, and likeness,
Yeah.
I don't need to sell it to you. I just need a branding. Just
Yeah.
get me a brand deal. Don't sell off my rights to the future.
Yeah.
And that's what I'm saying. Sell off my shares. Put an LLC around me and get people to buy it, and I'll make the money.
But that's
You'll
the
build the business.
investor. Like, if I could buy my shares and then I could trade those in the secondary market, like that starts to get exciting. Like,
That's right.
100%. There could be a whole for the culture NASDAQ where
We
you're
know
just
who
selling and buying and selling secondaries.
We
Man,
know
that's
who
insane.
we know who we're investing in, and it ain't Jean Morant.
Right.
Do you know what I'm saying?
Right.
Like if we're
Yeah.
buying the company, it's not him. If we're buying his future earnings at a discounted cash flow, I ain't doing it. If you want me to buy Drake as a company, I'll buy Drake right now as a company.
Right.
Might be a rocky road. It's gonna be fine. You want me to buy Kendrick? I'm buying Kendrick.
Yeah.
I love Kendrick. Like there's a momentum trade there, right?
Right.
Like you could parcel that out because like again, they're like imagine if you could have bought Jay-Z,
Yeah. Oh my God. Yeah.
right? As a stock, not as a
Yeah.
person,
Yeah.
not as an income stream, as
Right.
a stock. Like,
Right.
Yeah.
hey,
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. That's
you need a CEO.
right.
You know, someone asked me today, what's the next thing? I'd love to be someone's CEO.
Right.
Give me the biggest, hungriest name,
Yeah.
and I'll go be their CEO.
Yeah. That's a good.
Like we'll build Spring Hill, we'll build this, we'll build whatever. Like, you know, that would be fun. Like,
Yeah.
David-
that's the next business layer. I
Jerry
can't see how we don't
Maguire.
get there.
Yeah,
It's
no, I
not,
think
but it's
that's
not it's the agency model, and you're doing something different in the agency model.
people.
If you rep, you
gotta say it,
That was
David.
great. I love black people. Show me the money. That was
Show
so great.
me the
That was
money.
so-
You gotta do it,
That's her
David.
favorite
Jerry,
movie.
show
On your
me the
podcast,
money.
you got to say you love the black man. David.
I love the black.
Yes.
All right, you're in
I love
business.
I've been
I love
I've been
black
loving
people.
everybody except for you know, it's still okay to not like white women. Like you can hate on white women still.
I don't think you can hate on white.
I want
can't hate
to.
on
We
white
can pull this up.
You
but
know what?
I want
White
to.
women do truly. They're very fond of black women.
They're like-
I think that's the truth. Back
they
to the
worship.
election, I think that black women can get white women
I want
to bring out the vote.
I want to.
That's my hot take.
Yeah, they could. White women are voting for Trump. Just so you know, like 0%.
I think they. could-
0% chance.
you could-
I think he ruffled a lot of
0%
feathers.
chance.
You
They're not.
think?
Yeah, they're worried about crime. That like somehow they've connected crime. Yes, 100%. Don't be fooled by white women again. But I want to this business of
I love that, by the way. That's awesome.
don't like fucking man. This is I'm gonna give you my Irish take, and then you can take it for what you want.
Oh, man.
There's a reason why the Irish were run by the British for 800 years. There is a reason.
Yeah,
For
no, I
800
agree.
years. They could have kicked them out at any moment, at any time, and they didn't.
That's fair. That's
And
fair.
like, don't be fooled by white women. That's my
that's
my
true.
warning.
However, I think there is a slight independent streak in white women, and
Yeah, it'd be voting for Trump come November. I guarantee.
okay, I don't.
I think you're underestimating the abortion issue.
I was gonna
That's
say,
fine.
I think the women's rights. I think the women's rights trump a lot of that.
That's what I'm
Personally,
saying.
When do they care more than
they were really
That's
fed
very
up about
true.
a lot of that
And they
stuff.
all live in big cities, and that's it. And they're all on TV.
Yeah, but honestly,
and that's it.
All these,
and when you
all
come,
these Karens,
and when
today's
you
Karen,
when you come to
was
Michigan,
yesterday's.
when you come to
fucking
Michigan
Jerome's-
and Western Pennsylvania,
Yesterday's
Rock
whites are
Kim
not
was
today's
swaying.
whites. Is that what you're saying?
Karen
Yesterday's
is
whites are
mad
not
for a
today's whites. That's
particular
my
reason.
hot take.
I think at a,
Let's be clear.
I think
take.
women are.
Karen had a good
I
time
think
in
women-
college,
Listen.
and she mad.
I think I
She
don't.
ain't-
I'll be
Never mind.
wrong
Let me
about it.
stop.
I'll be wrong about it, but I think that's my
We
take.
need to revisit what the stats are at the end. Like where did white women vote?
Yeah.
Like come like no
Yeah, yeah,
whatever.
I wish we had
So
unlimited
we need
resources.
we need to
Come on.
revisit this.
Yeah,
All right,
that
I want.
Agreed.
So the Crip Walk thing, the pop out.
Mm-hmm.
So to me, that was one great checkmate move.
No question.
And
Absolutely.
so I would, as an investor, I would bet on Drake to come back. I don't know if he's got it in him now. Like that moment, when I
think he needs
watched
to.
that moment,
Yeah.
I just see something of like,
I don't think Drake needs to.
checkmate, motherfucker. Here it is.
I think he's
You know
just
what?
leaning in on, hey, it is what it is, and he's already putting out new music.
Yeah,
He's already moving on. It's almost like how things die down. It's like, oh, okay, let me just continue.
Any way that Drake comes back into that battle, he loses. There's no way he wins because he's already like, he's like, I'm winning. It's like I had a meeting with the Jones family once, Cowboys owners. Of the 32 NFL teams, the Dallas Cowboys are the only team that owns their own marks.
Everything.
The Dallas Cowboy store, Jerry Jones went to, I think it was Tagliabue. It was that far back. He said, how much is the Cowboys worth to you? He's like, oh, it's like priceless. He said, no. Like literally give me a number. Fast forward, he puts that number on paper. Jerry Jones is like, I want to buy myself out, right? Why? Because he realized the power of him selling the Cowboys t-shirt in China and all these places was bigger than the capacity of the NFL to do that. So I go to I'm meeting with the family, and this is the point. The line that they say, they were start out the season 0-2. I don't know where they are now. Start out the season, they lost to the Patriots in this particular season. I'm in a Monday 9 a.m. meeting with the Jones family after a humiliating loss to the Patriots. And Steven comes in, and we just apologized, said sorry for the loss. Oh, yeah. He said, my dad always says, football is a great business, great sport. If you didn't have to play those damn games, you know? And so their whole thing was like, we play the games for all of the other shit we do. I think that's the key to Drake. Drake is like,
Yeah.
rap is almost the loss leader right now for him. His enterprise is so sprawling.
That's the opportunity of creatorship,
Yeah.
No, absolutely.
right? Michael's still making money.
Yeah.
Is Wilt? No. Is Bill Russell? No.
But I also think
That-
that's where
that-
the hate comes in too, because it's like it ties into that whole, like we said, pettiness, where it's like he's got a formula, his formula's been working, it's not for everybody, but everybody sees this and the way that he's leveling up in these different areas and they can't compete. So it's like also an issue there. Like, why is it that Drake is allowed to have his foot in both sides of, you know, the game, and we're still nickel and diming and trying to fight for certain rights and trying to get our ownership and royalties, and he's over here like being featured on our song and making money off of it. I'm paying him to do a feature and he making money off of it.
Facts.
You know,
So.
we'll see. I mean, time will tell. I think it was
And I'm a Drake fan too, by the way.
Are you?
I
So
like
I'm
that.
not be a Drake
So
fan.
Yeah,
I'm not.
I just want to put that out there.
I listen to Kendrick, but I don't listen to Drake.
Put that out there. I'm a Drake and
I mean,
Kendrick fan.
I just felt like it was a moment where it was like, this is a big switch. And this is a big switch. And he's going to carry that. And everything he's going to do is going to carry that baggage. And like, it's going to be hard to not see, like, is LeBron getting bigger or is he getting smaller? Like LeBron's mouthing the lyrics.
Yeah.
I mean, you can get over Russell dancing, but LeBron mouthing the lyrics, that's tough.
Yeah.
That's tough in that world. Like the NBA and rap is so.
Yeah, and he's a Drake fan too.
And he, right. So like, how's that conversation? How's that? What's that conversation like? Hey, Drake, how you doing?
I think it was for a good majority of us. It was the first Cola Wars. It was a Pepsi versus Coke battle. It was a Michael Jackson versus Prince moment. It was a Ali versus
all of them.
Yeah,
four.
You know, but it like I think the culture wants these big illustrations of the two.
That's a great point with Ali
Yeah.
though. Ali fought them all.
Yeah, Ali fought them all.
Right. Everyone that fought Ali,
Yeah.
it was a heavyweight championship
There's no
fight.
question.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
from
that-
Jerry Quarry to George Foreman.
That's right.
It was
They
all a big fight.
And
It was all a big fight.
Is Kendrick or is Drake Ali?
That's a really good question. That's a good question.
I don't know if you can really even compare it
Yeah,
like
I
that.
mean-
Who do you think wins that? Who do you think is the guy? Who are they coming for in the next big fight? Are they coming for Drake or are they
Drake.
coming for Kendrick?
Oh no,
they're
Drake is
coming
gonna
for Drake.
forever have
yeah.
the target.
Oh
on his
yeah,
back.
Drake
And
has
he's
a
the
bullseye
Ali.
on
Yeah,
his.
he has a bullseye on his
But I mean,
back.
is he?
Nobody.
He gets all the
but
girls.
By the way,
He's light skinned.
Kendrick, from the
He can rap
time
and
he
sing.
first came out, has been Kung Fu Kenny. Like this guy
Yeah.
was always lethal. You know, in one of his earliest, he basically shot everybody. He was like, "I hate you all," and named them
Right.
as a young MC.
Which is
Even
Right.
politically too.
that-
Like he
That's my
politically
guy.
has the best.
That's what I'm
bars.
saying. Like he's not like fuck
He's
you
fighting
all.
politics.
You know,
He's
Drake
fighting culture.
wants to be
he's fighting-
liked.
Yeah,
Yeah. See, you can't.
Kenny wants to be
Yeah,
respected.
see, that's why.
That's a different.
That's
two different things.
two very different
And
things.
respected for who he
Is that
is.
fair?
That's completely fair. That's
Yeah.
why I've been. Yeah, that's why I've been. And listen. There's been shots back and forth between them where they won't name each other for many, many years. Like very clearly, if you listen to
It was brewing up to this
Yeah,
moment. Like this
thought
was gonna happen.
I had like just written it off that it was never gonna happen. Like, and this is like a 10-year process. And to see this happen, like I had a couple other friends
just
that are like
out of
that
nowhere,
too.
kind of right. Like it's just kind of like.
No, I'm saying you got to go back and look
Yeah,
at the
it's been built
Dreamcatchers,
up.
the J. Cole.
Right.
Like I'm not gonna respond to
The
Kendrick.
Dreamville Fest, yeah.
Like
Yeah.
that was a huge moment.
I just it for it to be the zeitgeist and for it to be that big, and I do think these things matter in the business of it because it's a sport.
It is a sport.
That is a sport,
There's
and
no
and that's
question.
why Chris is in rap battle business. It's like he's a player. But I mean, there's
Bars.
money. Like this is
White man
big.
bars.
And like there's something different. This isn't like 50 getting on just laughing
No.
at people on Twitter,
No.
right? Like it's something about the music. It's something, and maybe for me it is like the total Kendrick like processing this and being like, this is fucked, and I'm not afraid to say it.
You know,
like that's,
who was it? Was it Serbia or somebody? Croatia? Somebody beat the Canadian basketball team in the Olympics and posted themselves playing
Oh,
They
yeah,
Not
I
Like
remember
Us.
that. I
Like,
don't remember which one.
this fucking thing has jumped
It's a
the shark.
global
It
sound.
is massive.
my immediate point after
It has
the
no age limit, no color.
No,
like
it's borderless.
it's like
it's
the
everywhere.
jam.
I was trying like hell to get somebody to put Joe Biden's face on Not Like Us, and I kept saying like, this is what he should be dropping against Trump right now.
Right. Yeah.
Like
Still.
this is his opportunity to be like, yo, I may be old, but I'm still relevant. And they passed up. Within like the Kamala campaign started pushing the memes immediately. And that's where I get like, this was a little this whole
It
thing
feels
was
good though. I can't front.
But I mean,
love
like,
them.
that's what you should have dropped.
right.
Like, because it's dead on. I mean, it crushes.
Yeah.
And it like really, really crushes
And the
me.
beat. I mean, like,
No, the whole thing.
I don't care
top to
where
bottom.
you're at.
Yeah.
You hear that song just drop, and
It's
it's
some
like
LA shit. It's some quintessential. That is like Cali through and through.
What did Drake do to Mustard? What did he do to DJ Mustard? What did he do for him to unleash that beat?
I feel like Drake
mean,
got beef with a
serious.
lot of people, man.
Yeah,
Clearly.
It's like,
Because that's why I think what
Got
made it
it.
even more powerful
Yeah.
was like, okay,
Yeah.
you got more enemies than you do friends. So
Yeah,
like,
he didn't know, right?
And he didn't know.
God.
He
Right.
didn't know.
So you
He
got
had
more.
some feeling. He
Yeah, I
understood
think-
that. He
I
didn't know.
I don't think he knew
the
I
degree
don't-
to which.
when he watched that show in LA.
yeah.
1, 2, 3.
And no
LeBron,
disrespect.
He's gotta be going. What the fuck's going on in my life?
My friends in Canada, but when when they were,
Oh my God, that was
him,
hilarious.
I was like, hey, why'd you play that beat? Take that beat off. Like, you sound real feminine, my brother. Like, nobody's scared.
At all.
I was scared. And so was Rick.
You were scared.
So was Rick. I was scared for Rick. But in all seriousness, thank you for coming by.
That's so
We'll
funny.
see if he can edit this into anything that makes any sense at all.
Anything, yeah.
But at least he'll enjoy editing it
Yeah.
because it's like his topic. You got anything to finish on this topic? No, not him.
No, I'm just very interested to see how that plays out. Like, I want to see how the scale of Drake versus the current, that whole wax ecosystem, like what's left of that. Because I think like people that are really tuned into this, like, have been talking about like if there's somebody that's going to do it, especially from hip hop, it's going to be Drake. So I want to see if it works. And I do totally agree with you. Like, whatever, if it works, the private equity thing is still going to be the thing. So my thought is marry the talent with the private equity. Figure out how to be one of the early talent that does that.
I think Drake is a Trump supporter. That's my hot take.
Ooh.
Wow. Wow.
I'm just going to
Make
leave it
America
right at
hate
that.
again? What is it?
I think he's just like reduce capital gains. I don't give a fuck. That's
Yeah.
my take. Yeah. So
Because he's got that much in it.
he's got that much
Then
skin
you can't-
and he can't keep it all out of the country, right? So he's got some pretty impressive real estate holdings and he wants lower taxes. He wants a nice fucking tax
Man,
rate.
much as I hate to say it, a lot of my athletes feel the same way.
No, 100%.
I said they'll vote
You
for
got
Trump
enough money. You got
any
enough money.
day.
You got enough money. You almost have to.
Yeah, you have.
I mean,
Wait,
Kamala has to chill on this 43. What is
Yeah,
this?
yeah.
Like,
No,
you gotta stop.
no,
that.
go back.
You,
Like
Is that 2 feet in? How many feet was that again? How many feet?
you can't. You can't. You got to chill on that. You can't be
I
taking
appreciate
people's
that
bread.
honesty.
Yeah.
No, I think the
I live in
funniest thing.
Florida for a reason. Real estate taxes.
Because like they talk about the Trump tax cut, and I'm like, what the fuck are you talking about? My taxes went through the roof
Yeah.
in New York. So, dude, what was the question about Allen Iverson? I said, don't let me.
Yeah. So we
send-
talked about how relevant, like culturally relevant, Grant Hill was versus Rip, and then you're like, yo, Allen Iverson's not in the NBA Hall of Fame, but dude, he's the #1 culturally
Oh,
relevant
he
guy.
will be.
Yeah.
There's no way he doesn't
Yeah.
get it.
Yeah, Allen Iverson's cultural relevance without
I
winning
mean,
championships,
we're in
without
Miami.
doing this, he's so big.
Half of Miami is walking around not realizing that they have neck tattoos all the way down because of Iverson. That was the first guy who, wore body
Fashion,
tights,
neck
tattoos, neck tattoos. Like,
Speaking out to the media,
Yeah.
like
It's an interest. We're having this conversation about particular basketball players, and like I was like, hey, Grant Hill win Grant Hill win
Allen
an
Iverson's
NBA
my
championship.
favorite player.
I want to shout out to
Growing up.
my brother and formerly my boss, Q Gaskins. And Q was the director of marketing for the Iverson brand in Reebok. Q calls me one night. It's around 11 o'clock, Sunday night. And he says, yo, man, I got to call Paul right away. Paul Fireman was the founder and CEO of Reebok, created the women's aerobic shoe. And then we took the company and turned it into RBK, of which the Iverson franchise was sort of the answer to the Jordan brand. And Q was a leg of Allen's management. So he had a leg in Allen's management and he was at Reebok. And that was the, to seal success for the Iverson brand was to have a guy who was a leg in management and a senior leader at Reebok. And he calls me and he's like, and I worked for him. Yo, we got to talk to Paul. Shit is fucked up. I was like, what are you talking about? He said, I've been arguing, and Alan was managed by his uncle. He said, I've been arguing with Bubba Chuck. I've been arguing with Bubba all weekend. I was like, what are you arguing with him for? He said, I'm arguing with him because the question is, Alan believes there's no way that he can spend $100 million in a lifetime. He said, there's no way I can spend $100 million. And Q was like, you'll spend $100 million by Sunday. What are you talking about? And so it was out of concern. When this conversation comes up, people in the media, you've seen the stories in the media. Is Allen Iverson broke? Is he broke? Does he have money? He might be, but not for long. Because when he turns 45, he has a trust. He'll get a tranche. I believe it's like $30-40 million. And when he turns 55, he gets another tranche. Mm-hmm. And Paul Fireman structured his contract like that because he had heart. And he did not want for his leadership to yield, another story, another sad story of an athlete losing his fortune. So that's a true story.
If AI won a championship in the NBA, how big is he today? The biggest. One championship. Because his personality was so big.
He was right at the door. Right?
And if he had won the championship.
The year that he won the MVP.
That would have been it.
It would have been the world would be different.
I'm just going to say that when I was younger, because I played basketball and I was a guard, and Allen Iverson was like what LeBron is to, I feel like, the younger kids today, to the point where my mail, my little magazines, my US Weekly and stuff like that, team magazines would say Erika Iverson. I would put my name as Iverson at the end to everything just because I was such a fan.
I don't follow the sport that closely, but has there been as impressive a move created?
No.
Like the crossover.
No.
Allen created and perfected the crossover. I see Otto turning his face up.
Probably not.
Not at all.
Step back. Probably not. You're probably right.
Okay. I mean, I'm just asking.
Not at all. The
who
crossover.
Has innovated bought into the library, a move, right? That people the world over study that move, right? It's like what juking did for football.
Yeah.
Barry Sanders.
Almost like Randy Moss. That was a thing
yes.
too.
Yeah.
Being able to moss somebody.
Right.
Randy was special too. And another guy that imagine you put the right management around Randy Moss at the right time.
Yeah.
Or the right education. Imagine,
but that's what I'm saying.
Imagine I paid Randy Moss to come get an education instead of fucking up for 4 years, 3 years. Those first three,
But that goes back to what I was saying earlier.
Just come
on the NIL side.
Right.
If we can create some type of programming more around that's educating them, because now you can make the money.
Right.
But it's you can make the money, but if you don't have the right people around you to help you maintain that money and also grow and multiply that money, it's just another sad story that's going to end up at the end of the day where it's okay, yeah, you made this much money in college, you made this in at the pro level, but then now you're filing bankruptcy.
Chris said,
shout out to Erika.
Yeah.
Chris said,
people gotta know this
I only
stuff.
have 2 hours and 37 minutes left on the memory card. And then I was
I asked him ahead of time.
I was like, no chance.
We get a little bit more time. I'm just trying to keep him at that.
But I
know. I knew exactly when you said,
yeah,
that it was going to go
when
over.
he sat down, I was like, oh, this could go a long time.
I'm happy. This was a good this was great conversation.
So much fun.
This was a lot of fun.